Friends, the year is 1998. An American man purchases an island for nearly $8 billion. On the map, this 75-acre island was part of the United States Virgin Islands in the Caribbean. Its name was Little St. James. From the outside, this private island seemed like paradise. Stunning beaches, lush greenery. In the center stood a luxurious, palace-like mansion. It was surrounded by plush guest villas. It featured 2 large swimming pools, a gym, and even a helipad. But hidden within this paradise was a very dark truth. A truth so dark that people living on the neighboring islands called it Pedophile Island. This was a place where minors, girls aged 12 to 17, were trafficked and subjected to sexual abuse. These girls couldn't escape because they were surrounded by ocean. Once, a 15-year-old girl tried to swim to freedom but was caught and her passport was confiscated. The most shocking part? Who frequented this island? The world's wealthy elite. Billionaires, millionaires, and famous celebrities. This list allegedly included big names: Britain's Prince Andrew, scientist Stephen Hawking, comedian Chris Tucker. Countless politicians and billionaires were said to have visited. Lavish parties were organized for them. But the question is, who owned this island? The answer is one name: Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein. In his early days, Epstein was a math teacher for children in Brooklyn. But fate played a strange game, and his career took a turn, suddenly making him a financial advisor to billionaires. He amassed a fortune of roughly $600 million, becoming a multimillionaire. His social circle reportedly included figures from Bill Clinton and Donald Trump to former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. The activities on Epstein's island remained hidden for many years. But in 2005, a minor police complaint became the trigger for the case. It was March 2005 in Palm Beach, Florida. A 14-year-old girl and her parents filed a complaint at a local police station. The girl explained that a classmate from Royal Palm Beach High School had taken her to a rich man's house, promising $200 to $300 for a massage. But something else happened there. Epstein met the girl wearing only a towel. He told her to undress and then molested her. When police asked the first victim if she knew any other girls who had gone to Epstein's place, she gave 2 names. Interviewing those girls led to 2 more names, and that chain continued. The police were stunned, the chain seemed endless. Within months, the Palm Beach police chief had identified 35 victims, with dozens more being tracked. The most heartbreaking fact was that every girl's story was exactly the same. All were lured under the pretext of a massage. Most victims were girls aged 13 to 16 from poor backgrounds, some were orphans with no one to listen to them. The police realized this wasn't a minor case but a properly organized pyramid scheme. Girls received extra money for bringing new girls, creating a chain where one girl brought another. By May 2006, Palm Beach police had built a strong case against Epstein. It was so strong that in July 2006, the FBI also launched an investigation, dubbed Operation Leap Year. A 53-page report was compiled. Statements were taken from victims from Florida to New York to New Mexico. Epstein was charged with international sex trafficking. With 36 minor victims, dozens of witnesses, an FBI investigation, and such serious charges, a man like Jeffrey Epstein should have rotted in jail for life. But behind the scenes, something else was unfolding. Miami's federal attorney, Alexander Acosta, was involved in secret dealings with Epstein's lawyers, a deal seemingly designed to save Epstein. The deal required Epstein to plead guilty to only 2 minor prostitution charges. In return, he and his associates received immunity from all other criminal charges, meaning no further cases could be pursued against him. The most shocking aspect of this deal was that it was sealed, hidden from public view. Even the victims, the girls, were not informed. While U.S. law mandates that victims must be told about such deals, nothing was done. On June 30, 2008, Epstein appeared in court and, as per the deal, pleaded guilty to the 2 charges. He was sentenced to just 18 months in prison. During this sentence, Epstein was held in a private wing of the Palm Beach County Jail. He was permitted to leave for his luxury office for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. It was such a first-class jail setup that Epstein reportedly only returned there to sleep at night. And even then, he was released in July 2009, 5 months before his sentence was complete. All this was possible because of that secret deal, facilitated by Alexander Acosta. Here's the twist, friends. This same Alexander Acosta later became the Secretary of Labor in the first administration of Epstein's old friend, Donald Trump. For the next several years, Epstein lived a normal life, facing no consequences. He traveled in his private jet, threw lavish parties on his island, and met with powerful people. Our story could have ended here, the villain escaping justice. But in a corner of the world, there was a woman, a journalist determined not to let Epstein get away. Julie K. Brown, an American investigative journalist working for the Miami Herald, closely followed the case after Epstein's 2008 release. After years of studying the case, in November 2018, she published her report, not one or two, but a whole series on Epstein's crimes and how the system had protected him. Julie called it a perversion of justice. These reports created a new explosion in the media. Public anger erupted. Demands for a new investigation into Epstein grew. Under this pressure, a new investigation was launched in New York. In her investigation, Julie had identified over 80 potential victims. In her reports, she interviewed and documented 8 of them. The evidence was clear. Therefore, in July 2019, Epstein was arrested again, this time directly on sex trafficking charges that could carry a sentence of up to 45 years. But then comes the biggest twist in our story, friends. On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his jail cell. Officially, the world was told that Epstein had used a bedsheet to commit suicide in his cell. But the circumstances raised many questions. Epstein was alone in his cell that night with no other inmates. Coincidentally, the jail's cameras were not working that night due to alleged technical problems. Therefore, no video footage exists showing what actually happened. This fueled conspiracy theories that Epstein did not kill himself but was murdered. Interestingly, among those spreading these theories were Donald Trump supporters. Some time later, Trump himself retweeted a post claiming Epstein did not kill himself but was murdered because he had secret information about Bill Clinton. Epstein didn't kill himself became a popular slogan among Trump's base. In the 2024 U.S. presidential elections, Donald Trump made this a major issue, promising that upon becoming president, he would release all Epstein files. Repeatedly in interviews, when asked if he would declassify the Epstein files, Trump answered, "Absolutely, yes." In January 2025, Trump won the elections and became president again. Now everyone waited for the Epstein files to be released. Trump supporters were especially excited. But in July 2025, the Trump administration's Justice Department announced that no client list existed and no files would be released. Then Trump himself performed a U-turn, calling the Epstein files a boring issue, a Democratic hoax that never ends. He said the FBI should focus on important issues like voter fraud and not waste energy and time on matters like Epstein. Now, no supporter is so naive as to not notice this shift. Even Trump's own supporters began questioning why he suddenly went quiet. Elon Musk even tweeted that Trump's name was in the Epstein files, which is why they weren't being released, though he later deleted the tweet. The message was clear, even Trump's closest allies were growing suspicious. When people began digging on their own, some very shocking facts emerged: Trump and Epstein's old friendship, a very old connection. According to reports like those from the New York Times, Trump and Epstein were best friends for nearly 20 years. Their friendship began in the 1980s and deepened in the 1990s to the point where they spent time at each other's homes, offices, and at Trump's Plaza Hotel and casinos. Epstein was frequently seen with Trump at parties. A former employee of Epstein claimed that in the 1990s, Trump and Epstein spoke on the phone at least 3 times a week. Often, Epstein would put Trump on speakerphone in the office. In these conversations, Trump reportedly boasted to Epstein about his encounters with women. Model Stacey Williams alleged that in 1993, while dating Epstein, she went with him to Trump Tower where Trump pulled her towards him and inappropriately touched her. Epstein was watching this, and according to Stacey, Epstein seemed to enjoy that he had a model Trump was pursuing. Another victim alleged that at parties where Epstein forced her to have relations with other guests, Trump was also present. Trump traveled on Epstein's private jets, the same jets where Epstein often sexually abused girls. In 2002, Trump himself said about Epstein, "He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Meaning Trump knew Epstein preferred younger women. Trump even signed a note for Epstein in his book, Trump, The Art of the Comeback, writing, "To Jeff, you are the greatest." Because of this friendship, conspiracy theories emerged suggesting Trump might also be among those with damaging details in the Epstein files, which is why he didn't want them public. As these rumors spread among the public, the pressure grew so much that in November 2025, a bill was introduced in the U.S. Congress stating the Justice Department must release all Epstein files within 30 days. When voting occurred in Parliament, a rare moment was witnessed where both Republican and Democratic politicians jointly supported this bill. There's a big difference here compared to India. In the U.S. Congress, members can vote as they wish, no political party can force them. Thus, despite Trump's reluctance, the bill passed, friends, and on November 19, Trump was forced to sign it. Some Trump supporters were excited, thinking finally Bill Clinton would be exposed and proof of long-running conspiracy theories would emerge. But when December 19 arrived, the Justice Department released only a few thousand files. Then on December 23, 300 more documents were released. But these documents were heavily redacted, black markers hid much of the information. Yet, when people read them in detail, what emerged was less about Clinton and more about Donald Trump. Trump's name repeatedly appeared in the Epstein files. According to one email, Trump traveled on Epstein's private plane 8 times, the same Trump who always said he never boarded Epstein's plane. In another email to a reporter, Epstein wrote that Trump knew about the girls because he had told Maxwell to stop it. Meaning, according to Epstein, Trump was aware of what was happening but remained silent and didn't inform the police. New revelations are the most shocking. The FBI received a call from a limousine driver on October 27, 2020, just before the U.S. presidential election. The driver told the FBI that in 1995, while driving Trump to a taxi airport, Trump was on the phone saying, Jeffrey, and speaking about abusing a girl. According to the call record, 4 years later in 1999, when the driver told this to a woman, she went quiet and then said, Trump and Epstein raped me. This woman told the driver a girl had taken her to a fancy hotel or building where she was raped. Additionally, the Epstein files contained another document, a letter signed by Epstein, written to convicted sex offender Larry Nassar. It stated, "We have one thing in common, our love for young ladies. Our president also loves young girls like we do. But we have to eat in jail, and he is president. Life is very unfair." This letter was written in 2019 when Trump was president. The most interesting thing is that the Justice Department, which should remain neutral as a government body, began behaving like Trump's personal lawyer, calling these rape allegations untrue and sensational, and the letter fake without showing any report. The same Trump who before the elections used the Epstein files as an electoral weapon now found himself trapped in them. The conspiracy theories his supporters were spreading are now backfiring on them. But there's another twist in this whole story, friends. Not all Epstein files have been released. Over 1 million documents remain unpublished. The Justice Department says reductions are still being made on these documents, which could take weeks. Even in the released documents, excessive redactions have been made with black markers. Names blacked out, dates removed. On many pages, half the lines are covered. But in several places, the Justice Department hasn't even done these redactions properly. Many files have redacted words that can be seen with simple hacks like copying and pasting into another document. The most important question here is, what else is hidden in these files? It is claimed Epstein had evidence against powerful people and a complete list of who visited his island. With time, we will see how many more presidents, prime ministers, billionaires, millionaires, and princes are implicated and whose names emerge from Epstein's black book. For now, that's all, friends. If you like this video, I've made a similar video, you can click here to watch it. Thank you very much, friends.